Before we begin, our Chief Revenue Officer, Roxanne Favors, has a few words to say to kick off the event. Roxanne?
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to stand here because we're going to have to move the camera to my face. I just wanted to take a few moments before we get into today's business meeting just to say a few remarks about this opportunity. As the Chief Revenue Officer for the City of Phoenix Aviation Department, I'm responsible for strategic and business initiatives that grow our airport's revenue generating ideas and profile. That includes both our aeronautical and our non-aeronautical, and that includes property management, airport concessions, rental cars, our parking services, and commercial advertisement. Last year, these lines of aviation business accounts accounted for more than $580 million of revenue to the airport system. In addition, I provide strategic leadership to both our business and properties, our contracts and services, our design and construction services, and our environmental and planning and environmental divisions. And I also oversee our Phoenix Air Service development and our strategic land initiatives here at Sky Harbor. I want to thank you guys for taking the time today, both in person and online, to join us for today's meeting. Your time is very valuable, and I'm grateful that you've joined us to hear more about our opportunities here. I do want to take a moment for those that don't know a lot about our airport system or our aviation department to share a little bit of background. So I'm going to take this so that it's not part of the presentation today. We are a department of the City of Phoenix. We are manage and operate the Phoenix airport system. That includes both here at Sky Harbor Airport, which is our large commercial airline airport, as well as Phoenix Deer Valley and Phoenix Goodyear airports. As the commercial service airport, Sky Harbor, we're the largest in the airport system. We serve more than 135 passengers daily with over 1,200 flights per day. Phoenix consistently ranks as one of the 10 best airports in the nation. We were ranked number 3 as a mega airport in the US, and this ranking confirms our vision that we are extraordinary airports for a thriving Phoenix. In calendar year 2024, more than 52.3 million passengers traveled through Sky Harbor Airport. We're served by 25 airlines with nonstop service to over 144 destinations. This includes 26 international markets and has an economic impact of more than $44 billion just here in the state of Arizona economy. To meet the needs of our airline partners, we've begun constructing Terminal 3 into Concourse. You'll learn more about these opportunities in a moment. This new Concourse will add approximately 173,000 square feet of space. It's a 6-gate concourse with 11,600 square feet of concession space for food, beverage, and retail opportunities. The mission of the Phoenix Airport System is to welcome the world to Phoenix through ambitious, sustainable airports that everyone loves. We know our business partners play a significant role in achieving this mission. And for our airports, we strive to provide unique experiences by cultivating the best of our community through the culture of dining, shopping, and services, which creates this sense of place. Our business partners contribute to the airport's sense of place and to our success through their ingenuity, innovation, and diversity. Today's meeting, you're going to learn more about the concession opportunities for this new concourse. I'm going to turn it back over to Janet, and she will kick off this meeting with a wonderful team to answer your questions. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Roxanne. Now, to make today a success, we have made this meeting both available online and in person, and to limit the distractions, we've asked the webinar host to mute your microphones, that those of you who are participating online. For those of you who are also attending virtually, if you have questions, feel free to submit them using the chat function. You may click the chat feature in the bottom right corner of the WebEx to submit your questions. We'll also be responding to in-person questions at the end of the presentation. We're sharing a lot of information today, so we are making the presentation available at the airport's business outreach site, which you can access through this QR code. We'll also be recording today's session, and our team will have the presentation posted within 72 hours. And lastly, everything discussed or answered today is subject to change as we're in the development of the solicitation. Today's agenda includes an overview of Terminal 3 and the upcoming concession opportunities, the revenue contract solicitation details, and you'll hear us reference the solicitation as a revenue contract solicitation, or RCS. This is the city's competitive process when soliciting for revenue contracts. It's essentially the same as an RFP or request for proposal. We'll then follow with the small business outreach requirements and then gathering your feedback about the concession design and conclude with a Q&A session. So aviation is a department within the city of Phoenix, and the department operates Deer Valley Airport, Goodyear Airport, and Sky Harbor. And at Sky Harbor, we have Terminal 3 and Terminal 4. And for today, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into Terminal 3. Terminal 3 is home to 15 airlines that is the central hub for travelers in and out of Phoenix. The international flights from Terminal 3 are pre-custom cleared Canadian airlines, such as Porter Airlines and Air Canada. Sky Harbor is also among the busiest airports in the United States, and we had a record-breaking year last year in 2024 with over 52 million passengers. Our employments in Terminal 3 has steadily increased, and we foresee a 2.5% growth annually. With over 6 million employments in T3 last year, concession demands will continue to rise. Now here's a map of our current concessions in T3. We have the North Concourse, or T3N1, as well as the South Concourse, which are the F gates. And connecting those are the two concourses is the post-security lobby. If you're familiar with Terminal 4, you know that our lobby is pre-security. But because Terminal 3, you have to go through the checkpoints and TSA before you reach it. That's why our lobby in Terminal 3 is post-security. There are 13 food and beverage units throughout the terminal, which includes coffee bars, coffee cafes, full-service restaurants, bars, and quick-serve restaurants. As for retail, we have news, gift, and convenience, along with specialty retail, including apparel stores, travel essentials, and technology units. The one passenger service unit we have is the Escape Lounge in Terminal 3, and that falls under services that is not food and beverage or retail. To learn a little bit more about the stores, I've included the QR codes here, and it takes you to our skyharbor.com page, which provides additional details, including their specific locations. Now, Phoenix will be constructing a new concourse in Terminal 3, and we are tracking to open sometime in 2027. We're programming the concession offerings to meet the needs for 1.5 million passengers. Our goal is to have the concessions units open when the concourse begins operating. However, I understand that that may not be the case, but we would expect temporary kiosks and units to be available on day one. Here's a visual of the new 6-gate concourse and the future Terminal 3, Terminal 4 connector bridge. The area shaded in pink is the constructed part of this project and where the concession opportunities are. The area in blue occurs after the opening of the new concourse. The vision of the new concourse is to highlight the natural elements of Arizona and offer travelers a journey as they progress from the lobby to the T3 connector and onto the concourse. More design information will be available for the solicitation and in the tenant design criteria, which will be available when the documents are posted this summer. Now, the next segment of the presentation will focus on the solicitation and the concessions opportunities, where we'll discuss the proposed business terms, program goals, sustainability initiatives, useful tips, and the timeline. So our terminals are equipped with a large range of dining and shopping options that really enhances the travel experience, and that will always continue to be our goals. Increasing small business opportunities and driving sales and revenue with quality food and beverage and merchandise offerings are essential to a successful concessions program. And additionally, the successful operator will participate in airport programs including sustainability initiatives, airport concessions marketing programs, and customer experience programs. So for the new Terminal 3 North 2 Concourse, there are three contracting opportunities for food and beverage and 2 opportunities for retail concessions. There is a future airport lounge, but that opportunity will be discussed at a later time. We have dedicated approximately 11,000 square foot of space for food and beverage and retail concessions. And to tell you a bit more of the opportunities, I'd like to introduce John Ojeda, Business and Properties Project Manager. John?
Thank you, Janet. So good morning to all of those that are here with us in person, as well as the many of you that are online. Thank you for joining us for this information session today. I'm John Ojeda with the Business and Properties Concession Team. As a traveler and foodie myself, I have the pleasure of working in the areas of food, beverage, retail, vending, and ACDBE tenant relations. So proposed food and beverage is where we're going to start. First of all, 2 points of reference as you look at this slide. This is the North Concourse of Terminal 3, therefore we will be referring to it as N, as in North. Food and beverage will be outlined with an FB listed, as well as the store ID in the solicitation. These packages go as follows. As you can see, the conceptual image showcased here on the slide is our expectation of an open concept with no hard walls, as we want the traveling passengers to continue to enjoy the outside views in this specific area, especially being able to see our famous Camelback Mountain. An example of this design is in our Terminal 3 South Concourse, which is our Santan Brewery. This design is that open concept with the views to the mountains to the south of the airport. The first package is going to be for a full-service restaurant with a bar, as you can see, measuring 2185 square feet. And the second package is for a single coffee cafe, a small business opportunity measuring 1,231 square feet. So in the third package of FB1 and FB2, you'll see there's 2 quick service restaurants and a cafe bar, which will measure 4,700 square feet, and we will provide you with images later. The third package is consisting of 2 quick service concepts that all should have an open concept, but allow for food to be ordered in a quick service manner. This airport continues to match the industry trends. That's one of embracing open concepts, as demonstrated by many airports across the country. Another one of our great examples of this is our Starbucks that is located in Terminal 3 lobby post-security. Again, here at Sky Harbor, we're always seeking ways to elevate the food offerings to our travelers. So starting with the 1 full-service restaurant with a bar, also indicated as N2FB4, here we feature 2 concepts of that full-service restaurant with a bar. First, you see on the left is Terminal 3 North. That is our own Phoenix Beer Company. Secondly, we've got Matt's Big Breakfast, which is located in Terminal 4 Concourse N3. Both concessions provide that table service with wait staff, a full menu, along with a bar service to include both alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. Note that alcoholic beverages, the proper liquor license must be obtained by the owner-operator. Moving right along is the 1 coffee cafe small business opportunity. In this particular opportunity, our airport continues to showcase our commitment to small businesses. As mentioned by our Chief Revenue Officer, Ms. Favors, we had 53.2 million passengers and 44 billion in Arizona economy revenue. So this opportunity for a small business is going to consist of that cafe coffee shop that provides an array of drinks to include coffees and teas, with a coffee shop type menu that includes breakfast and lunch items, along with snacks and various baked goods. These 2 photos are perfect examples of 2 open cafe coffee shops. As you can see, they are open to the general area, allowing for the views of the outside to be encompassed and appreciated by that traveling passenger. Next is the 2 quick serve restaurants and coffee bar that was indicated in N2FB1. This package features 3 concepts, 2 quick serve and 1 cafe bar. The first 2 concepts in the FB1 location will be quick serve categories to include self-checkout or counter service to meet the needs of the fast-paced traveler. An example you can see on the left is the smash burger that has been featured. The third concept, an FB2 location, will be the cafe bar to include a full array of alcoholic beverages and a full or limited food service menu to include appetizers, small plates, breakfast items, etc., all in a themed environment, as showcased with the picture on the right. That is the Orlando Airport showcasing their concept of cask and ladder. The picture on the right, although it's slightly darker, those are all windows, so that concept is very open to viewing the outside environment, in which is something that our airport is looking for as well. So on to the business portion of this, the terms. This is a 12 to 15 year for the entire term of the contract. The financial impact and rent will be based on the percentage of gross sales, and that percent range will be based on the concession categories, and the final percent of that will be included in the final RCS posting. Moving right along into the retail packages, here we have two opportunities. As you can see on the photo and map rendering for each location, the spaces are identified by the yellow stars. The retail opportunities will consist of the following. The first package, N2R2, in the furthest north of the concourse, is one news, gift, and convenience store at 1,231 square feet. The second package is N2R1, furthest south, and that one is a specialty boutique style store with multiple lines of products at 3,273 square feet. So the one retail news, gift, and convenience store. As seen in the previous slides, the glass windows run along the east side of the concourse. Back that one back up for you. The glass runs on the east side of the concourse, leaving for the opportunity for this news, gift, and convenience open concept concession to showcase our surrounding environment and mountains. Here are some photos of the news, gift, and convenience that feature open concepts with no walls, and again, maintaining the ability for the traveler to view the beauty of our city. Next, we have the one specialty retail boutique style store in N2R1. This slide features two of those retail concessions within that boutique style that we are speaking of. A boutique style for us in retail space is an arrangement of various specialty brands and products featured in dedicated spaces within the store, allowing for these unique items and brands to shine, all while being incorporated in an overall store. The terms for the retail packages are as follows. The term 10 to 12 years for the contract. The financial impact and rent will be based on a percentage of gross sales. That percent range will be based, once again, on the category of the concession. And the final percent also will be included in the RCS posting. So here we get into the solicitation details. As indicated earlier, the Aviation Department is part of the City of Phoenix as a government agency, and we're required to conduct a request for proposal, RCS, or in this case, a revenue contract solicitation, RCS, process for the purpose of transparency and competitiveness. This process will include the following evaluation criteria. This criteria in which a panel will review for the following items. First, the proposed concept. For retail, what are your unique merchandising items? And food and beverage, what menu items are being proposed? What about your proposed concept will stand out from your competition? Also, what will make our traveler also your customer? Moving right along, we have the tenant and design and quality of the premise. Then we've got the management, marketing, operations. In addition to you providing your management and marketing plan, showcase your operational proven technology that will be utilized in your operation. How will this technology evaluate our passenger experience? Showcase your team's experience and qualifications, provide feedback, provide background on how your team meets the requirements for the experience and qualifications. Last, your business plan. Here, really showcase the overall plan for conducting a successful business within a busy airport environment that serves more than 1.5 million passengers in this particular concourse or terminal. On to sustainability. So the aviation department is committed to ensuring our airports are future-friendly and enhance the communities that we serve by placing a high emphasis on sustainability to include a final goal of zero waste by 2050. Our sustainability and green business partners have implemented the following: energy efficiency, measurements to include Energy Star appliances, waste reduction strategies to include recycling and composting, responsible sourcing practices, minimizing plastics and no styrofoam. And last but certainly not least, water conservation efforts to minimize water consumption. And these are just to name a few. So the timeline. This timeline features many important dates. However, allow me to take the time here to emphasize specifically the importance of the pre-response meeting to take place in the fall of 2025. Your attendance to the pre-response meeting is strongly encouraged, as the purpose of this meeting is to educate in all the specific requirements related to this particular opportunity. Next, you see the proposal due date is to be determined in 2025, followed by our City Council award in early of 2026. All final contract award and other precise dates will be listed on the solicitation once it's been finalized. And the last part here is that all RCS dates are subject to change. So here are the helpful tips to be a successful bidder or successful proposer. In addition to that, now is the time to bring any recommendations for this solicitation. Remember, this is a business information meeting, or BIM, and not the pre-response meeting. So tip number one, to be successful, bring your questions early on. Read the entire solicitation, the concession lease agreement, and all the exhibits. Tip number two, as previously stated, attend the pre-response meeting. As a proposer, continue to track, monitor all key questions and dates, especially dates are subject to change. Tip number three is that proposal response must follow the city-approved submittal format, which also will be listed in the solicitation. Tip number four, review all question and answers for the most current updates, along with the most recent addenda. The city shall not be responsible for any oral instructions given by city employees or officials regarding the RCS instructions, specifications, or documents. Any changes to the RCS will be posted online at opengov.com. So lastly, we have provided the following resources. These QR codes are here to help and assist you in preparing for this RCS to be able to obtain additional information that may be needed. So QR code 1 is airport statistics. As an example, you will be able to find employment information. QR code 2 is the aviation business website. Here you'll find information on Phoenix overall as an airport, career, security, and badging. QR code 3 is useful tips for tenants, consultants, contractors, and airport standards. Number 4, aviation outreach events such as this one, listing of upcoming aviation outreach events and future solicitations will be listed here. Number 5, city certification and the compliance system. You'll find small business enterprises and disadvantaged business enterprises information, as well as a listing of certified firms. At this time, I would like to invite from the Contracts and Services Division, Ms. Sarah Morato, who serves as our Small Business Engagement Manager. Ms. Sarah?
Thank you, John. As John mentioned, my name is Sarah Morato, and I'm the Small Business Engagement Manager here at the Aviation Department. And in my role, I oversee our education and outreach initiatives with small businesses interested in working with our 3 airports. I want to thank you all for attending today's business information meeting. But if you missed any portion of today's session, we will be having a second business information meeting on May 9th at the Burton Bar Central Library. Later that day, we will also be hosting a matchmaking session for small businesses interested in partnership and potential primes to network and discuss potential partnership opportunities for this solicitation. So if you're interested in participating in that matchmaking session, please be sure to register soon as space is limited. And finally, on June 9th, we will be having a 3rd hybrid business information meeting set up similar to this one, so you can join us via WebEx or here at our aviation headquarters. Please see the info on this slide, or you can visit our Sky Harbor outreach page, like John mentioned, to learn more and to register. The next segment of the presentation will be led by the city's Equal Opportunity Department. We partner with the Equal Opportunity Department to manage our federal ACDBE, DBE, and our local SBE programs. With that, I would like to introduce Jana Evans, an equal opportunity specialist that works very closely with us on ACDBE matters such as monitoring, compliance, and outreach. Jana will be providing an overview of the outreach requirements for this RCS opportunity. Jana is also joined by John Eastless from the Equal Opportunity Department, who will provide some information on our small business certification programs. Thank you both for joining us, and I'll turn it over to you now, Jana.
Thank you, Sarah, and good morning to all attendees, both here and online. I'm going to discuss today the small business outreach requirements that are in place for Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. So, as a recipient of U.S. Department of Transportation or U.S. DOT funding, Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport is required to establish an airport concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, or ACDBE program. And this is in accordance with the regulations of the U.S. DOT 49 Code of Federal Regulations, parts 23 and 26. So those are our governing documents for that. The purpose of today's presentation is to provide information about the small business outreach requirements and information about opportunities to participate in concession contracts at the airport. So Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport does not set race-conscious goals. We participate and utilize in race-neutral measures to achieve our ACDBE and small business participation. Additionally, we utilize the national market for our small business participation. And we must report this participation annually to the Federal Aviation Administration, or the FAA. So that's why we request and give you the information here in regards to the ACDBE program, so that we can have our participation that we must report annually. So as a part of our outreach requirements, all respondents must conduct outreach to small businesses. Besides food and beverage or retail providers, other opportunities to consider could include suppliers of products, suppliers of goods and services, uniform services, janitorial services. These are all some ideas of small businesses that you could potentially find to work with your business in this contract. And particularly if they're ACDBE certified, they would help to increase our participation here. This slide is our small business directories. So the top one, and you see the QR code there, that is for the ACDBE, DBE, and small business concern businesses that are registered with the Arizona Transportation Business Portal, otherwise known as AZUTRAX. And I've included the website there too. If you don't like the QR code, you can click the link from this presentation when you have that. Secondly, we have a QR code and link for our Small Business Enterprise Program. Now, this is City of Phoenix certification and compliance system, and this system you can use to search those small business enterprise businesses that are local to Phoenix. So two directories that you can use to help you to find small businesses to partner with. And I just want to note that each respondent's outreach efforts are not restricted to companies that are registered with the city or in UTRAX. You can outreach to any small businesses that you know of. They do not have to be registered. So for this solicitation, at the time of the RCS, or that revenue solicitation or contract solicitation submittal, as a matter of your responsiveness, all respondents must complete and submit these three forms. These forms are the EO1-200, which is a statement of your outreach commitment. The second one is the EO2-200, and that is your small business outreach efforts and participants list. And Form EO3-200, which is your small business utilization commitment. Now, these forms will be made available in the solicitation documents when it's released. So all respondents must fulfill these outreach requirements. Failure to provide the documentation of these outreach requirements at the time of submission, will equal a rejected response. We will not even consider it any further if you do not include these documents. And your efforts must be demonstrated by submitting the required documentation or supporting documentation. So if you email to a small business, you're going to need to provide us copies of this. I just want to say that if you as a respondent are a small business, you must conduct outreach to other small businesses. If you as a respondent are a part of a joint venture, the respondent must conduct outreach to other small businesses that are not already a partner of the joint venture. So just remember, you must complete outreach requirements even if you are an ACDBE or small business and you cannot outreach to yourself. So how do you do this outreach? Well, we've got a nice little acronym that we like to call ICE-T. So we're going to take you through these steps. The first step you're going to need to do is to identify the opportunities for small business participation. Look at what your business offers, determine if there's other small business outreach that you could bring in, other small businesses that could help you with this contract. Secondly, you're going to conduct that outreach for that participation. You're going to reach out to the businesses, find out what they can offer, see if they're ready, willing, and able to help you and join you on this venture. And then you've got your outreach done. You then evaluate the small business participation. If they come back and tell you, yes, and here's what I can offer you, that's great. You've got your participation. You evaluate if it's going to work for your business. And finally, you need to tell that small business. So once that business has responded to you, to your outreach efforts, you need to tell them of your solicitation decision or selection decision, whether or not they're selected. So you have to tell them, yes, I selected you, or no, I did not. And that needs to be recorded in the forms. Finally, document everything. So again, document, document, document. We have kind of changed things up here for this solicitation. We are using a new outreach efforts and participants list. Now, this will be coming out with the solicitation, and it is going to be an Excel spreadsheet. We have worked to make it as easy as possible for speed and convenience. So this is in a spreadsheet. You're going to see these sections titled Identify. And in the first part of the Identify, you're going to see that you're going to list the business name, the owner's name, the street address, city, state, zip, phone, email, all the basic ideas or information that if we needed to reach out to the business, we could. So none of these forms, or none of these columns, I should say, have a drop down at all. So these are free form. You fill them in, and spelling errors and all. I won't grade them. Next, in the Identify section, you've got some drop down lists that we've included. Again, this is where the speed comes in. It helps you out. So you're going to need to identify the race of the majority owner, the sex of the majority owner, the age of the firm, the annual gross receipts, and for the last drop down, that ACDBE or SBE status. You are also going to need to ask the business for the number of employees to see if it meets. We need to look at that to see if it meets for the Small Business Administration numbers. So these are all questions that you should be asking when you conduct that outreach to those small businesses. There is the conduct section. Sorry. And in this, when you conduct that outreach, you've got all your demographic information there. So then you're going to just record the NAICS codes, or the North American Industry Classification System codes that the business will be able to perform for you. That column is actually a free-form fillable cell that will allow you to enter multiple NAICS codes in it. And then you'll just hit tab to move into the next one. The next column is going to be the solicitation method. That's got drop-down lists, so you can just click on how you reached out to conduct that outreach to them. And then finally, the solicitation method column there to the far right. If you went to a matchmaking event or you ran an ad in a trade paper or something like that, please identify how you did that solicitation to that business. And that is, again, a free form. Type in your answer. Next, you need to evaluate. So you're obviously going to take a look at what the business has provided you, evaluate if you're going to use them or not. You come back to the form. You're going to indicate in column A that we've got listed there, it's actually S on the form, but your solicitation decision, or selection decision, I'm sorry. So you're going to indicate whether or not you've selected that business. And if you have not selected that business to participate, you do need to give us an explanation of why you did not select that business. And that, again, is free form. The decision is a drop-down. The evaluation explanation is a free form for you to fill out. And finally, the tell section. So you're going to tell the business, as I indicated before, whether or not they've been selected. And we have a drop down for the final solicitation outcome communication. You'll just Click on that to tell us how you indicated to that business whether they were participating and not. And then we have a free form column for who was notified. So provide us the name of who you told at that business. And then once that's done, you'll just move on to the next line and record the next business. So hopefully that will be quicker and easier than our previous forms we've had. Again, I'm going to say that all successful respondents must fulfill these ACDBE program requirements and also shall comply with the ACDBE program plan and those federal regulations 49 CFR parts 23 and 26. All successful respondents must track and report all ACDBE and small business participation that results of contracts, procurements, purchase orders, etc. And finally, for this, you're going to need to enter all data and supporting documentation monthly into the Phoenix Certification and Compliance System. Again, we've got the link and the QR code for that. One last thing to talk about is the annual Small Business Participation Plan. The successful respondent must submit an annual SBPP, as we call it, the Small Business Participation Plan, each year on the anniversary date of their contract execution date. This SBPP will detail the successful respondent's continuing commitment to outreach to ACDBEs and small businesses. And in advance of your anniversary date, EOD, myself, or one of my colleagues will send the SBPP template to the successful respondent for completion. This concludes my section on the outreach requirements. And now I'd like to pass it over to John Eastlis of the Certification Division of the Equal Opportunity Department to provide more information about that.
Thank you, Jana. Hello, everyone, and thank you again for being here today. I am also an Equal Opportunity Specialist in the Business Relations Division. I'm going to give a brief overview of the certification program for small for-profit businesses that may want to apply. There are two types of certifications I will be discussing. The first is a federal Disadvantaged Business Enterprise or DBE program. The second is our local Small Business Enterprise or SBE program. Airport Concession Disadvantaged Business Enterprise or ACDBE is a designation within the DBE program that is reserved for businesses that serve the traveling public. Both programs are regulated by the Federal Code of Regulations. 49 CFR Part 23 speaks specifically to participation of DBEs in airport concessions. 49 CFR Part 26 covers certification as well as participation of DBEs in Department of Transportation financially assisted programs. The local SBE program is also mandated in Chapter 18, Article 6 of the Phoenix City Code. The City of Phoenix is the agency that processes certification for applications firms headquartered in Maricopa County and all ACDBEs. The City of Phoenix belongs to a Unified Certification Program or UCP. There are a total of 3 agencies that can certify DBE in Arizona. The other 2 agencies are the City of Tucson, which certifies businesses headquartered in Pima County, and the Arizona Department of Transportation, which is responsible for the rest of the state. DBE certification is recognized statewide, where our SBE certification is local and only valid for participation in Maricopa County. In addition, certified DBEs from other states may apply to be certified in Arizona through a streamlined process with the UCP, as this is a national program. DBE firms are sought after to meet goals on federally funded contracts, not only through the City of Phoenix, but also through surrounding cities and agencies. Certified SBE firms are sought after to meet goals set on locally funded projects. Certified firms may also bid directly on city contracts if they are registered vendors with the City of Phoenix. There are many benefits to being a certified firm. They have opportunities to participate in the city's concessions program and may be eligible to bid on general service contracts reserved for competition among certified firms. Also, there may be participation sought after within the private sector. I would like to note that certification is not a guarantee of work. Firms still need to market themselves and attend pre-bid meetings whenever possible. On this slide, you see the landing page for the City of Phoenix Certification and Compliance System. The actual website address is phoenix.diversitycompliance.com. This is where a Maricopa County business would apply for either DBE, ACDBE, SBE, or all three if applicable. There is a menu at the bottom of the page which will enable you to either apply for certification or use the SBE search engine. The Apply for Renew Certification button highlighted here is where a firm would begin applying for certification. The button above that one, Search Certified Directory, is the repository of City of Phoenix certified SBEs. This is a great tool for finding small, local certified firms. A user does not have to be signed into the system to utilize this search engine. The Arizona Department of Transportation's website, AZU Tracks, is where the search engine for DBEs and ACDBEs is located. It was listed earlier in this presentation on slide 36. This page contains the City of Phoenix certification information again, along with the city's contract compliance team's phone number and email addresses. Thank you, and I'll go ahead and pass it back now.
Thank you, John. Now, what is really great about these business information meetings is that we're not under the solicitation transparency policy, or what we know as the cone of silence, so which really gives us the opportunity to have open dialogues with you and gather your feedback. So let's pivot a little and talk about the concession designs at N2. There are elements in the design that we'd like to seek your input on, and the design concept shared today is in the conceptual phase and is subject to change. And while we do value your feedback, we cannot guarantee that the suggestions given will be incorporated in the final design of the concourse, because any adjustments would be based on feasibility, as well as operational requirements and the project goals. So I'll go through the 3 different design options before opening the floor up. So as we learned that earlier, that the FB2 location is currently designed for a cafe bar with food offerings. And this location is approximately 2,400 square feet. What we'd like to know is that what is the optimal back of house space for this cafe bar? For option 1, it shows a back of house space of 447 square feet. What's shaded in pink in the right diagram shown on this slide. Now, option 2 shows the back of house space increased to 624 square feet. And if we do increase the back of house space, the bar and seating area will be decreased to accommodate the additional square footage. The next design option is between the 2 retail spaces. R1 is planned for a specialty retail boutique style unit, and R2 is the slated news, gift, and convenience. Now, what we want to know is which location you may think is better suited to have the specialty retail, and which location is better for the news, gift, and convenience, and why. The photo here shows a picture of R1 on the south side of the concourse that's indicated by a star in the graph, in the map. Now here's a look at the R2 location, which is currently programmed for the news, gift, and convenience, located at the central zone of the concourse, indicated by a star there. And lastly, the third design option is regarding the dividing walls between the FB3 location, which is a small business coffee cafe, and the R2 location, which is the news, gift, and convenience for now, in the central zone. Now, both locations is approximately 1,200 square feet, and they are adjacent to each other. The pros of a tall wall can minimize tenant responsibility of floor coring and coordination. And the taller solid walls allows more for the proposed tenant for design, such as including shelving for the retail units. The pros for a lower wall will provide more flexibility for utility locations, but it will require floor core. Also pay attention to the maximum height the units can be built up to, with the blue dotted lines indicated in this photo. With a dynamic ceiling and window views, a lower wall will increase visibility across all the units, which really creates that open market type of feel, marketplace type of design we're going for. Now, we understand there's much to consider when reviewing these design options, And feel free to share your thoughts today with us or reach out to us via email at a later time. So we are entering the Q&A portion of the meeting, and for those of you online, please use the chat feature to submit your questions, and our host will read them aloud. For those of you attending in person, please raise your hand. Staff will provide you a microphone so those attending online can hear your questions and comments. Thank you. Anissa, do we have any questions online? We'll give it a few minutes for folks to type in their questions and comments if they have any.
And then I would say for those in the audience, don't be shy. We want to be able to get feedback, particularly on those design elements that we were talking about. We want to ensure a very successful opportunity. We know your time is valuable for that, so we want to make sure what we're putting out would be something that you could respond to. And this is the time, like Janet was saying, that we can make those changes before the solicitation goes out. So I have a feeling that if we don't get any, I'm going to have the team stick around, that we have to gather that. We also want to be very fair to everyone that's going to be attending the next 2 business information meetings. So as we gather those questions, we're able to answer those and share those also online, because not everybody could be here for the first one. It's going to be repeated of information along the way. The only difference may be different questions that will come up at these business information meetings. So as my grandmother would say, a closed mouth does not get fed. So if you have any questions. They're going to bring a microphone so those online can actually hear as well.
Thank you. You've got the open floor kind of concept, but in the pictures that you're portraying here, I can't tell where the back of the house is, or is it in the area?
So there are 2 units that are with the open concept, and here's a better picture to show you. For example, this is a news and gift, and that's where it is the open, where they'll have shelving and limited back of house space, but we do have back of house space available for lease at the apron level of the concourse.
And is any of your back of the house space a shared space, or the space is conducive just to your concession?
That's a great question. So in this example for the news, gift, and convenience, we are looking that when you build out your space, there will be some areas that you would want to build for almost like ready supplies that's there. So on-site supplies that's there. As Janet mentioned, we've also identified spaces that can be for lease and support spaces on the apron level to support the business operation. But by far the most the way that we operate, just-in-time deliveries need to come off-site. We just do not have the physical space in the concourse for a large commissary or inventory storage that is there for that. So in your design, we would, in our tenant design, we would suggest ways that that can be laid out in which you could have that just-in-time inventory right there for it. It's dedicated to you. The only shared space, and we can talk about this a little bit on the other location, is there's a shared hallway to be able to get down to the ramp area for the food and beverage. Because there's some additional amenities that's part of food and beverage. You know, there's grease, there's trash, there's all those things that's there for that. So,
Thank you.
You're welcome. Another question up front, Michael. Michael, you can just like plant yourself right there in that middle aisle.
So who pays for the build out? Does the tenant or you, or how does that work?
That's an excellent question. So unlike if I was a developer on the street with a mall where they would give you a tenant allowance, we do not. The tenants have to pay for the build out of that. So in the solicitation, based upon our design standards, we'll give you what we think is an estimated construction build. Our most recent one in Terminal 4 pre-security was $350 per square foot. To build out of the space, but that's just the minimum. We know that people may go over that based upon the design that they have. So it is up for the tenant to do the build out. We'll bring utilities to those locations, but then to pull the utilities throughout would also be the tenant's responsibility.
And then the second question is, who's responsible for staffing it? I mean, I know there's some subcontractors, but if you're an independent small business, are you responsible, or how does that work?
Oh, excellent question. For the tenants, they're responsible for hiring their staffing. So their staffing will have to go through our badging office to get badged for that to take place. So if you have staff that's at a street location that wants to come out to the airport, you still have to take them through security badging. We do job fairs to be able to promote the opportunities that tenants are looking to be able to hire as well, but we do not get involved between hiring your staff to operate that. You are solely the operator of the store at that point in time. That's why we're selecting you based upon your experience and expertise for that particular store model.
I have one question, a follow-up to his questions, actually two. Are these concessions, well, there's only 3, is that right? 3 or 4 spaces? Are they open to all? For instance, with the existing operator like Host Marriott or Paradise Bulgari, I've done submittals for them before, so I'm just curious because it ties into the feasibility of the costs, you know, because some of them, those 2 in particular, can certainly afford more than the minimum of $350 a square foot, right?
Certainly. This is an open process. So whether our existing operators would like to put in a proposal, they have no advantage to it. So it is a fair process for that. So we're looking for anyone to be able to put in their proposal based upon the type of opportunity that we're looking for, those criteria that we're looking at as experience that's there, as well as the design intent, meeting our goals of basically showcasing and highlighting our community. So it's a completely fair process. There's no leg up on the existing operators that's there. That's why we take the time in many of these business information meetings to just explain our process. We know it's different than operating as entrepreneurs out on the street. There's a couple of different layers that we have to do for government to make sure it's fair and transparent for that. But it's open to anyone. There's only been a few times where we have gone to our existing operators to fill a location, and that's generally at an end of a contract where we don't want to have to put the burden, especially the high financial cost, on a new entrant coming in over a short contract term that's left. But this is brand new contracts. Everyone gets to compete.
I'd also like to kind of direct an answer to that question. In regards to participation, small businesses can joint venture with each other. They don't need to joint venture with the big companies. They can joint venture with each other if that helps to reduce the costs or kind of spread it around a little bit. So you can always propose a joint venture in regards to your response.
I know we have 2 questions submitted online. Anissa, if you can read us the first question.
Who does the staff hiring for the business, and how are the hours of operation determined?
The hours of operation for these concepts will be set, but they are always subject to change depending on the airline flight schedules and the needs of the airport of, last minute issues such as emergency. But usually, as gifts and convenience, they're expected to open at 6 a.m. in the morning till at least 11 p.m. at night. And food and beverage as well is very similar hours to that.
And then regarding who hires and pays for the staff, that would be part of your proposal as the operator. The airport does not pay for the staffing or the hiring.
Will we get a list of everyone attending today?
Yes, a sign-in sheet will be made available at the aviation outreach page as indicated by the QR code earlier.
Yes, hi. My question is about FB3, the coffee cafe. How do you define small business only? Is it certified small business enterprises, or what exactly does that mean?
Alrighty, very good question. So the City of Phoenix utilizes the Small Business Administration size standards for businesses. However, operating in an airport environment does give you a little bit higher thresholds. So start with the basic. You do not need to be certified. And, we may ask, you would want to provide some verification in regards to your small business status. But yeah, we'll take a look at that, and that's how we'll tell. You do not need to be certified. Does that answer that? Thank you.
So I have a question about as far as doing the outreach to the small businesses. If a firm wanted to specifically work with small businesses that are certified, online on you guys' website, are all the certified businesses listed? And does it say what they do and what they provide?
Yeah, so there's two directories. The federal directory is the AZU tracks. That would be for DBEs, and then DBEs that are designated ACDBE. There'll be a list of the owners, and then we use NATES codes that Jana spoke earlier for the scope of work. That's how you would find another small business and through their NATES code, decipher what it is they do, and you can reach out to them. For non-federal, for small business enterprises in Maricopa County, that is the City of Phoenix website. Same thing, DBE list will list who owns it and a list of NATES codes showing their scope of work.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and as a side note, you can only claim participation for the work done under the NATES codes. Some companies may do additional work occasionally, but that may not be covered under their certification. So if you are going to claim participation, make sure that what the scope of work you're asking them to do is covered under their NATES code. And always be aware that somebody may want to subconsult or subcontract some work out. If they do not subcontract to another certified firm, you cannot count that participation, so it'd be less than what you're paying them as a first-tier subcontractor.
And I just want to add as well, thank you, John, that both of those websites are on the slides that we have, and they will be posted on the website. So if you have any questions during that process, you can reach out to us, and we're happy to help.
Currently, how many new ACDBE have one solicitation in the past 5 years or most recent solicitation?
For that question, we'll have to pull that data. We do not have that right here on hand, and we'll pull that and put that in an answer up to the website.
Can a proposer bid on multiple packages?
Team's looking to me on this one because it's been a hotly discussed one. While you can bid on more than one package, you will have to say what is your preference, because you can only win one package. We are looking for competition on that concourse because we know that that's what's best for our customers, to be delivering that excellent customer service and opportunities that are there.
Yeah, in light of our new administration, are any of these going to be outdated, any of these employment opportunity things that you submitted?
In regards to the solicitation, at this point in time, no. We have updated the information with the most recent. But again, our opportunities are open to all small businesses and ACDBE certified businesses. So
I'll just add on to that is, as Jana pointed out, our program here at the City of Phoenix is race and gender neutral. So just to kind of cut to it, there's no goals that are set. There's no quotas that have to be done for our program. We really have had an amazing program through the years in which our businesses have responded to that, just as business people, it makes good business. So we do not feel at this point in time any changes that would have come through the federal government on those programs that actually have goals that are required to meet it, to provide that fairness that historically had not been there. Our program has been historically very well balanced so that we've never had to have actual goals set for it. So that's why we focus quite a bit on small business, where we're sharing that you don't have to necessarily be certified. You can choose to do that if it makes business sense for you after that point in time. But if you meet those small business requirements that we talked about, that's the primary thing that we're looking for those small business opportunities.
Yeah, a question, a little bit more information on the outreach program. So if you're a franchisee, we're at the mercy of the brand or the franchisor on who we source from, the equipment we buy, and many, many things. So we could do outreach from a build-out perspective and a few other things where we reach out. But as an ongoing every 12 months, it would make it difficult for us to go source from an outreach company because we don't have that ability, right? But you showed like a smash burger, and I've seen some franchises across many, many airports. So just need some guidance there.
So that's an excellent question, one we get often. We actually have several operators here, ACDBE operators themselves, that are franchise owners. And so as we get to that opportunity, we definitely can have further discussion with you on that. There's actually a few in this room right now. And again, it's getting creative on the outreach. There's so many different things that you can outreach and source locally. An example, I used to sit in the position that our two colleagues here do, and printing, right? You've got to get menus printed. You've got to update your boards. You've got to provide just general table tents. We have ACDBEs right down the road, one in particular. That's what they do. Shirts, you might have the same, requirement for your symbol or your logo, but many times you can get those done locally, simple as pens, right? Again, that opportunity to that small business as you outreach to them, even as a franchisee, makes a world of a difference, right? So again, lots of ways we can talk to you about that, but our folks have been meeting that for many, many years, even as a franchise owner.
And real quick, I just want to tag on there. Unfortunately, the build-out costs, we would encourage you to use small businesses for that, but that doesn't get counted towards the actual participation. And that's per the federal regulations. We cannot count build-out, but we would encourage you to use small businesses.
So this is really an FYI. So for the person who asked about SBE and who are interested, let them know that there are SBEs and ACDBs on the call who want to partner. And then I do have another question. Could you please explain where the new gates will be built in the Excident Terminal 3?
We're going to try to go back to an aerial that will show this. Okay. Back a slide. Okay, yeah, this one will help. So on this layout that you'll see there is the T3N1. That's the current North Concourse. We added N1 because now we're adding an N2. So if you're on the North Concourse, you're going to see Camelback Mountain to the north for that. So going to the east, where we used to have two small buildings that were there. So if you're familiar with our airport, going to the east, directly north of the entrance to the Terminal 3 parking garage is where we're building the new N2. There are two crossfill taxiways further going east. So the new N2 will also have views to Camelback. If you are on our South Concourse that goes east-west, it's the one concourse that does not go north-south, that goes east-west, you would see South Mountain that is there. So in that highlighted salmon or pink, we are building an additional, what we call a connector, a passenger walkway. If you've flown out of Terminal 4, we have passenger walkway bridges between all the concourses. That passenger walkway is a dedicated walkway that will take you to this new N2 gate. The 6 gates that are being built, this is all for Group 3 aircraft. We are also having 2 of the gates that are able to do wide-body Group 4 aircraft because we do not have dedicated gates for the airlines. All of Terminal 3 is common use, so airlines get assigned to their gates. Generally, we assign airlines to a similar area for their gate operations that are there for that. So that is the 6 gates that are there. I would ask if I answered that question for the person online. Okay, I'm looking at Anissa since she's doing it. Okay, it looks all good. So as a note, we're going to add next presentation, we'll add a better actual visual that shows the layout.
move back to our last slide. Okay. Well, feel free to reach out to us at the business opportunities email, which is indicated with the QR code. And also another friendly reminder that the next 2 business information meetings are scheduled for May 9th and June 9th. And after the business information meeting presentation on May 9th, as Sarah mentioned, there will be a matchmaking event for businesses to connect and build potential partnerships. Remember to register if you're interested. And thank you all for taking your time to attend this BIM for the T3 and 2 concessions opportunities. And you guys have a great rest of the afternoon. Thank you.